All right, today we're diving deep into a tool that's pretty much the center of the universe for software developers, GitHub. Let's take a tour. I want you to just think for a second. That social media app you were just scrolling, the game you play on the train, even the app you use for your banking. Every single one was built by a team. Sometimes that team is just a couple of people in a garage. Other times, it's thousands of developers spread all over the planet, all working on the exact same project. Which leads to a pretty big question, right? How on earth do you get hundreds of people editing the same code at the same time without it all just collapsing into total chaos? It sounds impossible. Well, the answer to that giant coordination puzzle is GitHub. It's the platform that completely changed the game for how developers collaborate. So let's peel back the curtain and see how it pulls it off. First things first, before we get into the nitty-gritty, you have to appreciate the incredible scale of this thing and the one core idea that makes it all possible. Look, we're not talking about some small, niche tool here. We're talking about over 100 million developers. That makes GitHub the single largest ecosystem for developers on the entire planet. It's not just a platform. It's the global hub for building the future. At its very heart, GitHub is powered by a concept called version control. Now, the easiest way to wrap your head around this is to think of it like a super-powered undo button for an entire project. It's a system that takes a snapshot of your files every single time you save a change. So if you totally mess something up, you can always just rewind back to an older version that actually worked. For any single developer working on their own, this is, and I'm not exaggerating, like having your own personal time machine for your code. Let's see how it works. Everything on GitHub lives inside what's called a repository, or just repo for short. The best way to think of a repo is, well, it's just a folder for your project. But it's a super-powered folder because it's wired into that version control time machine we just talked about. So here's the basic workflow. First, you do your work. You write some new code, you fix a pesky bug, then you stage the exact changes you want to save, and finally, you commit them. A commit is basically you taking a snapshot of your project at that moment in time, and you attach a little message to it explaining what you did. And just like that, you've created a permanent save point you can always return to. Okay, so that time machine thing makes perfect sense for one person. But remember the problem we started with? Those huge teams with hundreds, even thousands of people. How does that work? And this is where GitHub goes from being a really useful tool to being an absolute game changer. It takes that core idea of version control and builds these powerful collaboration layers right on top. So how do teams keep from stepping on each other's toes? Two key tools. First up is branching. Imagine you want to add a brand new feature. Instead of messing with the main project, you create a branch. It's like a safe, parallel reality where you can experiment all you want. If you break something, no big deal. It doesn't affect the main working version. Then, once your new feature is perfect, you open a pull request. That's basically you saying to the team, hey, my new stuff is ready. Can you check it out? And if it looks good, let's merge it into the main project. You know, building modern software is way more than just slinging code. It's about tracking bugs, planning features, and managing tasks. And yeah, GitHub handles all of that too. See, GitHub isn't just a code locker, it's a complete project management hub. Using a feature called Issues, teams can track literally everything. Bug reports, ideas for new features, security problems, you name it. It becomes the one central to-do list for the entire project. And to take that organization to the next level, GitHub projects can take all those individual issues and arrange them on a visual board, kind of like a wall of sticky notes. This transforms what could be a chaotic mess of tasks into a super clear workflow. Everyone on the team can see exactly what's being worked on, what's coming up next, and who's doing what. It brings beautiful order to the chaos. So, we've seen how GitHub works for individuals and for private teams. But there's one more massive piece of the puzzle that makes this a truly global phenomenon. Open source. Open source software is a pretty radical idea, actually. It's software where the code is just public. Anyone in the world can see it, they can suggest improvements, they can fix bugs, and they can use it in their own projects. It's all about community-driven development, and GitHub is basically its home. So many of the tools developers use every day, from AI frameworks to programming languages, are built this way. So you might be thinking, why would I contribute my time for free? Well, the benefits are actually immense. You get to learn from some of the best developers in the world, you build a public portfolio that can help you get a job, You get to actually shape the tools you rely on, and you get to be part of building something that can have a real, lasting impact. So, if you're feeling fired up and ready to jump in, let's talk about a clear path you can follow to start your own GitHub journey. For anyone who likes a structured path, there's the official GitHub Foundation certification. And really, the exam is a fantastic roadmap for what to learn. It covers all the key stuff we've talked about, the basics of Git, those super important collaboration features, and why the open source community is so powerful. And that's GitHub in a nutshell. It's a time machine for your code, it's a command center for your team, and it's your ticket to a global community of builders. It's the place where the future is being created one commit at a time. So the only real question left is, what will you build?